Hola mi gente, welcome back to the channel. This is Sean from We Are Investing, a channel that is dedicated in investing and personal finance. So right now, what we are witnessing in AMC stock is a civil war. It's the little guy versus the big guy. It's the hedge funds versus the retail traders versus the retail investors. That's what's happening right now with AMC stock. And the bad thing with short sellers, with hedge funds that are shorting AMC stock, is that they are betting on the company failing. And that's not a good practice. Who wants to say that a company is going to fail? And usually when you go long a stock, you are betting that the company is going to be prosperous. It's going to grow. But right now, what could happen and what will likely happen if things do not change is that the retail trader and the retail investor will actually destroy AMC as a company. Now, this is all stemming from the fact that retail traders, most of them believe that there's going to be an epic short squeeze in AMC stock. You have YouTubers like Lou vs. Wall Street saying that the price right now is not the real price.
That price that I'm telling you, that's the real price. Okay? That's the price this can go up to.
And there are brackets out there, and this thing is going to go much higher. You just have to be patient. And then you have hedge funds. You have short sellers that are saying that the price target for AMC stock is 1 penny.
I think as you've seen, Melissa, with us going back really our whole careers, when we make a big call, we mean it. And we're going to swing until we admit we're wrong on a name.
Now, who's going to be right in this situation? I do not know. But what I do know is that one of these people have been deported from another country because of fraud.
Y la Dirección Nacional de Control de Drogas apresó a un estadounidense que estaba siendo buscado por las autoridades de su país, acusado de fraude. Luis Bravo fue detenido por agentes de la DNCD y la Dirección de Búsqueda de Rebeldes y Prófugos en una sucursal de un gimnasio de una plaza comercial en Santo Domingo. El organismo explicó que sobre Bravo existe una orden de arresto de las autoridades de Estados Unidos por cargos de fraude en el distrito de Nueva York y una orden de deportación.
And that is Lou vs. Wall Street. He was actually deported from the Dominican Republic and brought back to the United States to New York City because of charges of fraud, which must have been pretty serious to be deported from another country. But anyways, let's talk about why right now what's happening with AMC stock is very, very dangerous for the company. And the reason why is because AMC is at a point right now where they cannot raise capital. They cannot add more shares to the market. They need to get approval in a shareholder meeting, and approval is going to be very hard to come by because if they introduce more shares to the market, retail investors, retail traders are going to be mad because that hurts the potential of a short squeeze. That gives short sellers a way to cover their shares because the theory right now is that retail traders and retail investors are holding the majority of the shares. So it's very difficult for a short to cover. Back in April 1st, 2021 is when Reuters reported that AMC was going to issue 500 million shares and they were going to seek approval in their next shareholder meeting to be able to issue those additional shares. But they got a lot of pushback from that. And since then, they reduced that number from 500 million to 25 million, which is a huge drop. Now, this isn't a public offering. They're not going to issue 500 million shares at once. This was to raise the cap, the amount that they could potentially offer over time. But anyways, they dropped that number from 500 million to 25 million in shares. And then they scratched 25 million shares off the shareholder meeting, meaning that they're not going to be able to issue any additional shares until they get approval, and approval can be years out. Now, it's pretty obvious why Adam Aron and AMC would want to have the capability of offering more shares to raise capital, because when you take a look at the balance sheet and the situation that AMC is in as a company, they are in desperate need of cash. If they do not find a way to get cash, they ultimately will not be able to pay their bills, and they ultimately will have to file for bankruptcy.
I declare bankruptcy!
Unless they innovate, which they haven't done thus far. Why? I do not know. The pandemic, in my personal opinion, was a great time for all movie theaters to innovate, because the reality of the situation is that moving on in the future, rent is going to be higher, and you're going to get less revenue from movies because less people are going to see them in theaters. If we take a look at the gross box office for the weekend of July 9th, 2021, we see that the numbers came in at close to 120 million US dollars domestically in the United States. In mid-July in 2018, that number was closer to 275 million. So even though we are fully reopened and there is a pent-up demand, people are not returning to the theaters like they were in 2018. Now, this is important to know because when we take a look at the financials, we need to consider that maybe moving into the future, revenues are going to be less than they were in 2018 and 2019. And when you take a look at the financials for AMC stock, even when they were selling a lot more movie tickets, the operating income for the stock was still negative. It's been negative since 2016. In 2016, it was pretty much flat. In 2017, they lost 41 million. In 2018, they lost 44 million. In 2019, they lost 398 million. So the overall trend when it comes to profitability and operating income for AMC has been going down. This is a sign that they need to innovate and they need to switch this situation around if they want to start making money, and they need to start making money in order to cover their bills and their debt. Now, if we take a look at the 10K, which is the annual report for AMC stock, we can see what is actually happening within the company. Now, if we take a look at total revenues, they've been pretty much flat. In 2018, it was 5.4 billion. In 2019, it was 5.4 billion. In 2020, it was 1.2 billion, but that's not AMC's fault. That is because of the pandemic. But if you look at the growth from 2018 to 2019, it's stagnant. It's pretty much flat. There is no growth. And when we take a look at the operating costs and expenses, the one that I see the most important here is rent. Real estate is going up, rent is also going to go up, and it's a pretty hefty bill. In 2018 and in 2019, it was $1.7 billion, just about $1.7 billion, which is a big chunk of revenue. And then you have all these additional costs that are pretty much directly correlated to how many movies there are out there, how many people are going to the theaters. And if you take a look at net earnings, you can see that in 2019, even though there were a decent amount of people going to the movie theaters, AMC operated at a loss. The net earnings for this stock were negative $150 million. And if you believe that people are going to be attending movies less and less, which is what we are starting to see based on tickets, this is a problem for AMC stock because they are not going to be able to cover their bills unless they start making money as a company. And things get even worse when you take a look at the most recent balance sheet for AMC stock. The cash and cash equivalents, how much money the company actually has right now in cash or very liquid assets, is 308 million. The total current assets, this is what they have that's pretty much liquid right now that they can use to pay bills, 487 million. But the total current liabilities, the bills that are going to be due in the next 12 months, are $1.6 billion worth. Now that ratio, the current assets over the current liabilities, is atrocious. And if they do not raise money or do not innovate and fix the business model and get more money coming in, this company is eventually going to have to file for bankruptcy. So the fact of the matter right now is pretty simple. AMC needs to raise capital. The shareholders right now, the retail investors and retail traders, do not want to have AMC offer more shares to raise capital because that hurts the chances of a short squeeze. So you have short sellers who want the stock to fail, and you have retail investors that are looking short term for a short squeeze to make money. The loser out of all of this is not the short sellers, is not the retail investors, but it's actually the company and the employees of the company. Because if they cannot figure out a way to raise capital, they are going to file for bankruptcy. And ultimately, that's what should happen. They should be forced to innovate. We do not need dying companies in the stock market. We do not need to keep companies afloat if they are not able to pay their own bills. So AMC stock right now is in a very tough situation. The company is in a dire situation and they need to innovate. If you take a look at a similar company, GameStop is innovating. They're changing the board, and also they got into some unique contracts with Microsoft so that they can get a part of the digital revenue. GameStop was forced to innovate and they are trying to do so. AMC Stock, in my personal opinion, and this is for pretty much every movie theater chain out there, they are not innovating. They need to figure out a way to change the business model, or else ultimately they are going to file for bankruptcy. Offering shares will only get them so far. They need to change the business to be able to stay afloat. Otherwise, the amount of AMC theaters you're going to see in the future might be zero. And a quick question, if you're invested in AMC right now, have you been to a movie theater since we reopened? I bet you 90% of you haven't, because the numbers are indicating people are not returning to the movie theaters like they were in 2018 and 2019, where in other industries we've seen very strong bounce backs and we're pretty much back to pre-pandemic levels. So with all that being said, that wraps it up for this video. If you like this video, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and smash that like button. I provide you guys with honest information. I'm not trying to pump up any stocks, and I'm not trying to just tell you what you want to hear so that you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. That's not the way that I want to grow my channel. Now, if you're interested in investing in the stock market, there is a Discord server where we talk stocks and cryptos every single day. It's over 500 investors. It's where we share ideas with each other. I let you guys know what stocks I'm buying on a daily basis. The chat is very active. We are all communicating with each other. We're learning from each other and we're growing from each other. And that's why this channel is called We Are Investing and not I Am Investing, because I firmly believe in building a community of like-minded individuals so that we can grow together. But with all that being said, that wraps up for this video. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. It's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. And this is We Are Investing, and together we are invincible. See ya.